Hey everyone, today I'm going to be talking about the garden that I'm going to be starting down here at the little ranch we have. I'm taking a little break from building the cabin today and starting a garden that I've been wanting to put down here. This is the first time I'm going to be putting I call it more of an orchard in the ground. I've done a lot of growing at our house, tomatoes, other vegetables, herbs, so forth. But I wanted something down here that's going to last a little bit longer and not have to worry about, because we're not down here all the time. Sometimes we're not even down here for a month or two. So I wanted to go through the whole process with y'all. This first video is just going to be talking about how I'm going to be doing the spacing, planting everything, and how I'm planting it. And then I'll have another video talking about pruning and why I actually chose some of these varieties, and then actually talking about the irrigation. I may do another video about that or throw it in this one, we'll see. So let me show you what we're working with and we'll go from there. Alright, so this is the area that we're going to be working with, and I've gone ahead and marked out a 30 by 40 area. And the reason why I did that is just because it was super simple, gave us some spacing for the road, also about 4 feet along the fence line, so we're able to take a lawnmower down that, clean it up as we need, and give us plenty of space to actually put these trees in the ground. I've also did it just so it's a little bit away from the cabin and we don't have to worry about any of the roots or anything along those lines. So what we'll be planting, at least for today, is going to be some stone fruits, which are in these buckets right here, and then I have 5 fig trees. Eventually I want to have more down here, but I wanted to start with what I'm used to and I know, and go from there. I have 2 peach trees that I'm going to be putting in, a plum tree, 5 fig trees, and then I'll talk about this experimental row down on the end that I really am still researching about. So how I'm going to be setting everything up is I have, once again, 30 feet here. I divided it up to where there's 3 actual growing areas and then 2 walking areas. And so in this first row, I'm going to have just figs, mostly just because it's going to be easier to have them all right here, and figs are super easy. I'll talk about those varieties in a different video like I mentioned. And then in this second row, I'm going to have stone fruits and also a pomegranate tree. I don't know if a pomegranate tree is considered stone fruit, but I'm going to have a peach in the back, and then, a plum in the back, then a peach tree, and then a pomegranate up front. And then this third and final row, I haven't selected what I'm going to put there yet. I don't want any trees that are going to crowd out the afternoon sun, because all of these are full sun trees. So I thought about doing a citrus row, but the problem with the citrus row is it gets so cold here in Texas that I say it gets so cold here in Texas. There's a couple of weeks where it gets down into the 20s and 30s sometimes, and citrus would just die off. So I'm still sort of researching what I want to put in this last row. I've looked at fajoas, pawpaws, satsumas, things of those nature, just to change it up, because I don't want just stone fruit, just fig trees. I want some other stuff that year round we can eat. As I mentioned, this is a 30 by 40. On the first row, I have everything set up to where the fig trees have 7.5 feet of spacing. It's really more like 8, but it's down to the couple of inches, so I just say 7.5. The reason being is that I've met with a couple of people that grow figs commercially, and also small producers, like Little Bear Farms is one of them that has been super helpful. I've also done the normal research with big producers, and then I talked to some local guys back home, and a lot of them have done 15 feet, 10 feet, and then Little Bear Farms, they do 4 feet, and they told me that was really small and they would have gone up to 8. And then the people who have 15 feet have told me that it's too much. So I went ahead and did 8 feet because that's sort of in the middle. I really should have gone 10 feet to be truly in the middle between 4 and 15. But 8 feet is going to work out for us because I'm going to be pruning these trees on a yearly basis to keep them the shape that I want. and that will actually help us allow us to put more fruit in this actual area. And for this tree row, they're going to be getting about 12.5 feet each. I could probably give them more, but I want to have a little walk-in area here, and then you walk down each row. So for right now, they're going to be 12.5, and that will allow for 3 trees. And I'm going to put plum in the back just because it will get the biggest, the peach, and then the pomegranate, and that way they sort of go in a row of tallest, shortest, and that way they'll get all sun, but it'll also help block out every now and then when it's during those July and August days. And like I said, I'm still figuring out the 3rd row, and I'll update y'all whenever I do that. But for now, I'm going to move on. I've already planted 1 fig tree in the back, as y'all can see, and that was just so I can learn. I'm not a professional by any means. I just wanted to make this video so that anybody out there can see some of the mistakes, but also some of the wins that I do along the way. So now that I have this first one in the ground, I know what I'm doing. I'll show y'all what I did, some of the items I used, and we'll go from there. All right, so what I went ahead and did is augured this hole, then I dug it out. I wanted to make sure that we had plenty of room at the bottom for about 1.5 times as deep as the soil on the tree that is going in the hole. Then also made it a little bit wider. And the reason being is the soil here that I have is mostly sandy loam, which just drains really, really well, but it doesn't hold any water very well. And then on top of that, once you go down about 2 feet, it turns into just straight clay. And while clay is really good at holding things and stabilizing things, it's not so great with water. It doesn't drain water, and it holds water forever. Now, obviously trees need water, but they also don't need something holding water forever. They like having wet roots. Wow, try saying that fast. They don't need soaked, just only water. So what I'm going to be doing is amending this hole with just compost. It's nothing crazy. It's just organic compost that I got from Lowe's. And what we're going to be doing is putting a little bit at the bottom, mixing it with native soil, and doing the same with the sides. And the reason why we're amending it with a little bit of compost and native soil at the same time is we don't want just compost. Otherwise, these roots will not go out in search of other nutrients and water. It will know that the good soil is right here and just stay here. That's not healthy for the tree development and root development. So we're going to mix it so it gets used to both compost and native soil. So when it gets past that amount and goes and hits this wall where it's just native soil, it will hopefully keep moving on and not just stay here. Another thing that I went ahead and did was scratch the sides of this hole. I've seen some people do this. The theory behind it is that if you scratch it, when the roots hit this tough exterior native soil, it won't just stop and act as if it's in another pot. It will keep on going. I don't know if that works or not, and I haven't done a lot of research to prove that it does, but it's worth giving it a shot because I'm not going to be here all the time to check on these trees. So once again, we're just going to take a little bit. I've already got some in the hole. A little bit of this compost, mix it in, take some native soil, and just mix it at the bottom. And once you've got it all mixed and ready to go, you're going to take your tree and make sure that when you put the tree in the ground, it is the correct setup that you want. And the reason why I say that is because you may put it in the ground without thinking about it, and you have one limb headed straight towards your walking path, or one big limb headed straight towards another tree aimed at a different direction. And you don't want that. I have this one set up to where it has some pretty good roots going back, forward, to the sides, and it's not impeding on anything else, especially this walkway. So it'll be able to grow a lot better outwards instead of in towards the areas I don't want it to. So I already have it set up that way. We're just going to go ahead and put it in the hole. Alright. Make sure it's nice and straight as much as possible. And then you're just gonna start backfilling this in. And as you backfill it in, make sure that once again, you're not just putting native soil and you're not just putting compost, because you don't want that to happen to where it just stays in that spot. The other thing is when you're putting this soil back in, make sure that you're pressing it down. Not a lot. You don't want to compress it by any means, but you don't want air gaps. So whenever you've put the mulch on top and you've got this tree set up, you don't want to have to come back, clear all the mulch, and help with the parts that have actually settled in. So I'm just going to go ahead and once again put some of the native soil around. Then I'll take a couple handfuls of compost and mix that in. And we're going to do that until we get to a level where the top of the soil that started with the bucket is also at the top of the soil of the ground. Now with fig trees, they're a little unique in the fact that they start roots in whatever is underground off these little nodes. So with fig trees, you can actually put them a little bit deeper than normal fruit trees because it will just spur off roots. I wouldn't do that with any other tree, especially a grafted tree. A grafted tree has rootstock, meaning that that rootstock is really healthy roots, but the fruit on it's usually super bitter, and so they graft on a satsuma, an apple tree, whatever it may be, so that it grows really well, it's disease resistant, but the top is that fruit that you want. Now, fig trees, you don't have to worry about that. So if I wanted to, I could plant this way deeper than it is currently. However, this is a healthy tree, nothing's wrong with it. I'm gonna move on. Oh, big old hawk. One thing I forgot to mention is this little mesh that you saw whenever I put this this root ball into the soil. That's called a root guard. And all it is very thin metal mesh. It's not gonna hurt the roots. Eventually, the roots will get big enough and they'll just pop through it. It's that thin. However, I do have gophers and moles out here, and they will come and eat every single root on this tree when it's this young, and then the tree will completely die. So this is just some added protection to help this tree grow and get into the soil before it's attacked by varmints and everything else that's out here. They're pretty cheap, and I'm doing, once again, everything I can to help these trees survive. So this is an added layer. I think I got 8 of them for 5 gallons for like $22, nothing crazy. And I'll be adding them on all the trees. But I'm gonna go ahead and skip to the next part. We'll talk about mulch and what I'm doing to help the mulch and and weeds. And yeah, let me just fill this back in and we'll be right back. So to finish it off, all I'm going to be doing is taking some cardboard that I have from some of the residual stuff that we put in the cabin. And all I did was make a little line, cut a little area in the center, so this will be able to go around the tree. And the reason why I'm putting this down is from the research that I've seen, it's a lot better than putting the tree rings or anything like that, because this breaks down over time, versus some of the other stuff doesn't break down, and it will still allow weeds throughout the years. This will break down, and I'll be able to add mulch on top of it. And with the mulch, that should severely limit the amount of weeds that I get, because I can add that on year after year and not have to deal with it like I would landscape fabric or the tree rings, where it would just come through. So all I'm gonna do is take it, put it around the tree like that, nothing crazy, and then add some mulch. So I'm using pine bark nuggets, just because that is what I've seen a lot of other big producers use, but also just small producers, and it seems to be sort of this golden standard for most orchards. So I just got this from Lowe's, super cheap. Eventually I want to put a whole row of mulch here, so I don't have to worry about it, but for now this will do. And another thing I want to mention about mulch is if you really need a lot of it, look at chipdrop.com. I'll try to put that in the bio below. It's a service that allows tree companies to drop mulch chips off at your place. So a little bit cheaper because it's free than just buying it from Lowe's. But what we're gonna do is just dump all this mulch onto here. Once we've got our mulch out of our bag, what we're going to want to do is create a circle. We don't want this mulch mound like you see a lot of other people do. The reason being is it sort of suffocates the tree. We want to circle around the tree so that water can get down to those main roots, but it also helps limit out those weeds that are going to come around. So all I'm going to do is sort of make a circle with this mulch and spread it out as much as possible. And remember, we still have that cardboard down there, so that cardboard's going to help a lot with the center of the tree. So we're more worried about spreading this mulch out to help with weeds around the tree. So we're gonna make just a nice little circle like that, nothing crazy. And then after that, you just gotta water it in. Each tree is gonna be a little bit different. Make sure you check it. I water this in before I put the actual cardboard down, just to help. The cardboard's not gonna stop water. I just wanted to actually get some on the soil or on the roots right away. And so I'm gonna go ahead and water this mulch in a little bit. Water the tree in a little bit, and then I'm probably going to let a hose just sit on it for 10-20 minutes, just so we can get a deep watering. Fruit trees really like deep and long waterings. They don't like short itty-bitty. They like it when there's a lot of water all at once and very sporadic. So I'll talk about that more in the irrigation video when I get to it. But yeah, that's once you have it set up, just let some water soak in there for quite a while, and then they'll be good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of these trees, move on to the stone fruit, and then I'll come back and show y'all how it looks. Hey everyone, we're back. It is day 2. After I showed y'all how to plant, or how I was planting these trees, I went ahead and called a local nursery, and they ended up having a couple trees that I've been really looking for. So took the rest of the day off. It was 5 o'clock whenever I called it quits, to go ahead and get those trees. And I went ahead and put those in the ground, and I wanted to go ahead and show y'all how it turned out. I'm super happy with the way it turned out, especially for this being my first time doing it. I'm not overly OCD, but I'm just enough OCD that it needs to look a certain way for me. Before I show you all the orchard, there is one thing that I wanted to talk about, and that is fertilizer. A lot of people you'll see online, it's sort of a discussion on whether you should fertilize in the hole, you shouldn't, you should fertilize on top, you shouldn't, whatever it may be. From my belief and understanding, it seems like whenever you have this hard soil, you really want the roots to go and look for nutrients on their own. So I'm not putting any fertilizer down right now. A lot of these plants I've been taking care of for months/years, so I know their fertilizer schedule pretty well. So I plan to not fertilize any of them right away. I'll probably give it another month or so just to let them grow into that soil. And there's plenty of compost down there that it shouldn't hurt them whatsoever. There's tons of micronutrients in the compost. So I'll see how that works. Hopefully the trees don't die. But yeah, I'll probably fertilize them in a month from now, which will be the end of March. And that'll still sort of be the start of spring. I say the start of spring because here in Texas it goes from, you got 20-30 days in February to it's 83 today now, and it is like March 6th, I believe. So I'll update y'all along the way of how that plan worked, but let me show y'all what it turned out like, because I think it turned out great. So, here we are. This is the front of the orchard, and as you can see, I got all those fig trees down. I ended up planting the peaches and plums. And then yesterday I went and got a pomegranate and 2 Fajoa trees. If you're curious about the varieties and everything, I do plan on making another video talking about all the varieties of these plants and why I chose them, or trees. The reason being is I've done a lot of learning about the history of these trees and how they work, how they're better in native soil, yada yada yada. So I can do a whole video discussing that. I want to just have this video simply be about putting the trees in the ground and how it ended up looking. I think it looks great. This is my first time doing anything on this scale. I've done a ton in the backyard, but for the most part, the backyard at our house, everything's in pots. So it's super simple. You set up drip irrigation, you call it a day. And as you can see out here, as you can see, this bird just flew over my head, freaked me out a little bit. We've got these massive vultures flying around. I don't know if I can see any. But as you can see, I went ahead and put mulch all around them. The only one that I wasn't able to finish is this one right here. It's our pomegranate tree. Sadly, when I opened the bag of mulch, it was full of fire ants. And I put some fire ant killer down on the mulch. I'm not watering it in. Thankfully I watered it in before I put down the mulch, but I'm not watering this in because I don't want those chemicals to go down into this pomegranate tree after it's just been replanted and it's a young tree to begin with. I'm hoping that with drip irrigation over the next week or so, it'll strengthen the roots, but also the wind will blow away some of this ant killer and I won't have to worry as much. We'll see. This is the only tree that I'm worried about, but I wanted to show you all that just so next update video we'll be able to discuss how it went. Hopefully it goes fine. Yeah, overall I'm super happy with how everything turned out. I do plan on putting more over here and more in the front just to make it look a little bit more enclosed in. Yeah, it turned out super well overall. I will keep y'all updated as I progress the orchard and let you know how it goes out here. I'll probably give updates as often as I feel like it's needed. But yeah, I'm going to move on to irrigation now. I'm going to talk about that in a separate video just because there's a lot of discussion around irrigation, and then I'll talk about the varieties in a different video also. So if you guys have any questions, I'll try to answer as many as possible. Just go ahead and leave them down in the comments. Besides that, I'll try and also put some of the equipment that I used down in the bio so you're able to use some of that or some of those things. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video and hopefully everything looks a heck of a lot better. You have a good one.